I've always struggled with shiny objects. I would start exploring an interest that I had. I would become obsessed with it and create a project within that domain. I would spend hours and hours on research, troubleshooting, and building. You see, I was fueled by my drive to escape the 9 to 5. I wanted financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. I was sick and tired of building someone else's dream. The long hours, the minuscule pay, the long commute, the poor work conditions, and overall, the lack of fulfillment that I was faced with day in and day out. I wanted to roam the map in this game called life, free of a predetermined work schedule that I had no say in, free of a set wage that determined the value of my time, free of having to force myself to be passionate about a company that I didn't care about and frankly didn't care about me, free of living the life that society programmed me for. It was due to this drive that I would find different routes, or rather different opportunities, as I exposed myself to more and more information, because you cannot beat the game without playing the game. You need experience. You need knowledge, you need skills, and to truly live an extraordinary life, you need a business. Why do you need a business to live an extraordinary life, you may be thinking? Well, a business grows as you grow, meaning that the more you improve yourself, the more you improve the vessel in which you provide value to the world. This means that you improve the world via proxy by improving yourself, leveling up your skill set, your product, and your company, which are the people around you. All of this impacts the people in which you do business with. And if your business is online, which it should be, you will do business with people all around the world, impacting people all over the world. Choosing the path of an entrepreneur is choosing the route which will have the greatest impact on the planet. It is how you most effectively play the game. Not only does it impact the people whom you do business with, but if you spend the time to gather knowledge, learn new skills, and implement new habits, you improve yourself. You unlock a new, leveled up version of yourself. This not only creates a compounding effect where you gain new knowledge that allows you to then gain more knowledge by combining the new knowledge with the old knowledge, but it allows you to give more value to people, the world. It allows you to create things that the world has never seen before. Your knowledge combined with your experiences, current skill set, the outlook and perspective that you have, and your environment are completely unique to you. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. In this game, you either work for a business or you work as a business. There's no in between, unless you're, a transient nomad who survives by asking people for money, which even then you are running a business, leveraging sympathy and guilt while selling people the good feeling of assisting the less fortunate. The game of business is a spiritual endeavor. The more you dig inward, the more problems you find. The more problems you find, the more problems you solve. The more problems you solve, the more solutions you discover. And the more solutions you discover, the more people you can help. And the more people you can help, the more money you can make. With each piece of knowledge that you gain, you synthesize it in your mind with previous knowledge, experiences, opinions, and beliefs. This allows you to craft perspectives on topics that have never and will never exist, because no one exactly like you has or ever will exist. This means that there are people out there who can only be helped in ways that only you are capable of. It is your duty to help these people. Now, I'm sure this perspective that I'm crafting for you is generating some degree of excitement, but there also may be some thoughts creeping into the back of your mind, like, I don't have any skills that could generate income, I don't know where to start, or maybe it even sounds too good to be true. And I get it. These were my exact thoughts at one point. And if you don't have any negative thoughts about this, I admire you. I have constructed a framework to give you a clear path to get you started on your journey. I call this framework the Tyrant's Quest for Clarity. This quest has been crafted to help you dive into yourself, to allow you to see the steps toward the life that you want, regardless of your passions or skill level. Now, the Tyrant's Quest for Clarity starts with inward exploration. To truly understand yourself and your strengths, you're going to need to dive inward. This exercise is arguably the most important step in this quest. It will give you the foundation that you need to begin mapping out your character. Think of this like a skill tree or a character overview. So step one is destination mapping. Write out your short, medium, and long-term goals. Short term could be weeks, medium could be months, and long term can be years. Step 2 is the skill tree. Write down all of your strengths and personality traits. If it comes to mind, write it down. Do not be hard on yourself by second guessing. Then third is the adventure log. Start some form of journal, both private and public. Document your thoughts, your ideas, and experiences. I will also show you how to effectively do this with social media detail later on. Now that we have a clear view of your character in this game, it's time to assess the enemy or the opposition, because it's not a game if there isn't an opponent. The opponents in this quest are the problems you and people like you face every day in their lives. It's not easy to fight an opponent you can't see, so let's identify them. So step 1, problem identification. Use the skill tree that you created to help you identify the burning problems in your life. These problems can be anything from not making enough money to losing weight to playing too many video games. Then step 2 is list your challenges. Write down your personal challenges or frustrations you've encountered. And 3, identify patterns. Look for recurring themes or issues in your list. Take note of any words or phrases that appear frequently and categorize them. Count how many times each category appears on your list. The ones with the highest counts indicate areas that are ripe for change. And then lastly, research broader issues. Explore and determine if these personal challenges are also problems for others. So now we have a clear picture of our character and our opponent. The next step is to begin to combat our nemesis. But as with most games, we can't just jump straight into battle with the final boss. We have many hurdles to jump through. We must level up. Think of this next stage as mining for materials. And if you've ever played, games like RuneScape, this should resonate with you. We must gather resources to forge equipment with. This is where you begin to brainstorm product ideas while you expose yourself to new information. Step 1, solution crafting. This is where we take the information we've gathered and begin to identify ways in which we can fix the issues we have found. Then educate yourself. Read books, take courses, or attend workshops related to the problems you've identified. And then experiment with solutions by trying different approaches to solve these problems, even if on a small scale. And then lastly, document your process. Keep a record of what works and what doesn't. Pretty simple. So now that we have gathered resources, it's time to conjure these resources into items or spells. The moment you solve one of your problems, you are now equipped with the spell or weapon to help people solve their problems, either by selling them the weapon or showing them how to craft their own. You don't learn from exposing yourself to information. You learn from executing on information that you have been exposed to. So the next step is solution expansion. Now that we have a large data set of knowledge and possible solutions, it's time to test and refine them to find the best ones. It's time to forge our materials into items. So step 1 is apply solutions to new contexts. Test your solutions in different scenarios for different people. For example, if our focal point is a lack of money, imagine or create various scenarios where a lack of money problem might occur, like a recent college graduate with student loans, a family facing unexpected medical bills, or even an entrepreneur starting a business with limited capital. And then get feedback. Share your solutions with a small group or network. Join the Tyrant Empire for free if you need a network of entrepreneurial-minded individuals. And then refine your approach. Use the feedback to improve and adapt your solutions. At this point, you will have a working system to understand yourself and your interests, and a guide to explore these to create products in which you can then sell to improve the lives of others. I won't go too in depth on these next 2 steps here, but once you have a working item or a spell to solve a problem that you have faced, it is now time to share it with the world. So it would be community impact, where you share your knowledge, you create content to share your solutions. You can volunteer or mentor and offer your expertise to help others in a community or online forums. Again, if you don't have a network or community, join the Tyrant Empire for free. You can build a network, connect with like-minded individuals who are interested in similar issues. And then lastly, monetization and growth. This is where you identify revenue streams and think of ways to monetize your solutions, such as consulting or creating a course or even writing a book. Then you market your solution. You use social media, you leverage social media, networking and content marketing to promote your solution. Then you scale your impact, you scale your business, you look for opportunities to expand your reach, like partnerships, podcasts, or even other online platforms. Over the years, I had failed in many business ventures because I lacked clarity. I failed to see the big picture. That is why I have created the Tyrant's Quest to Clarity. My first business was with music production. Right out of high school, I began to explore my interest in EDM. Electronic dance music, if you don't know. After listening to countless hours of music, attending shows, and seeing the glamorous lives that the industry leaders were advertising on social media, the freedom, the fame, the money, the women, the parties, I wanted to pursue a career in music. myself. I had never had any real experience with music before, other than tinkering with samples in a program called Mixcraft 5 back in middle school, and also creating terrible copyright-free music for a project in high school using GarageBand. But I didn't care. I thought I was always like a pretty good beatboxer, so all I had to do was translate that into software and then I'd be rich, right? Not only did I need to understand some music theory to get me going, but I also needed to learn the DAW, the digital audio workstation, to create the music. And then I needed to learn how to mix it so that all of the sounds were cohesive, and then master it so that it sounds good on any system that it is played on. I won't go into depth about my journey with my Rampage project, as it is long and varied, but I will tell you that I spent thousands of hours over the years tinkering with sounds, taking courses, and watching videos to learn what I needed to in order to produce a decent track. I can't even fathom the amount of times I stayed up late working on a song hoping that this one would be the one, only for it to get zero traction. It seemed like all my work was for nothing. You see, I was under the impression that creating music was the business. I wasn't entirely wrong. However, creating the music, which was the product, is only one piece of the business. You see, I spent so much time learning how to create music, I didn't spend any time garnering the skills to get my music seen and heard. I didn't learn any of the evergreen skills for business. I didn't learn how to grow an audience so that people could be aware of my product and brand. I didn't learn how to create an effective content ecosystem to grow my brand in a systematic way. I didn't learn how to write content in a convincing and valuable way. I didn't learn how to effectively grow a personal network of like-minded individuals, such as rappers, musicians, and fellow producers in this case. I didn't learn how to sell myself, to get people to listen to my music, or even purchase my services that I tried to provide at one point in time. I did, however, learn the very basics of creating a website in hopes that was the missing piece. It wasn't. It was not. A part of me felt defeated that I wasted 8 years of my life building a business that made me at best $100 a year. But I wasn't done being an entrepreneur. On the surface, it may have seemed like the 8 years I spent building the Rampage project were completely wasted. However, I gained many valuable lessons and skills in the process that I could take with me wherever I went. I learned discipline, because it's not easy to push yourself to complete a task on your own while you have all these, external forces such as friends trying to pull your attention and energy in different directions. This was my first real instance of setting a goal on my own and following through. I learned consistency. I saw firsthand how powerful it was to stay consistent when it came to working towards something. I went from being completely convinced that I wasn't musically inclined to being, that kid from high school who makes beats. I learned failure. Failure itself was nothing really new to me, but there were times where I had seemingly failed online, publicly. Over the 8 years, some of the songs I created were absolutely garbage. And I'll never forget sending one of my tracks to a producer I looked up to, and literally him telling me that it was very bad. I still have this track on my cloud, and maybe I'll let you listen to it so you can cringe. Pretty bad. I learned tenacity. Through all the ups and downs, I learned to keep pushing forward, despite what, the people online thought, despite what my peers thought, and above all, despite what even I thought at times. Those are a few of the key takeaways that first come to mind. I grew. I leveled up. In 2020, I lost my job as a frozen food delivery driver. Money was tight, so I became increasingly desperate to find a money spout. Again, I won't be going too much in detail so as to not get off topic, but I somehow got involved with a "we'll build a drop shipping store for you" company. I was then hopeful that this business was the one. I would make it big by selling knives online. Long story short, I was prompted to apply for 2 credit cards, which amounted to about $7,500 to pay for the services. And I felt utterly scammed because I still had to spend dozens of hours anyway to essentially create the website myself and import the products, which ridiculously low profit margins. And I even saw that Amazon sold some of them cheaper than the distributor that they set me up with. After a few weeks of terrible communication with this company, endless headaches, long nights, and market research, I decided to end things with this company and look for a different route to get rich. Getting my money back was no easy task, but I reigned victorious. Rest in peace, Knife Galaxy 2020 to 2020. I learned a lot during these couple months. I learned that if it is too good to be true, then it is. This company promised me around $10,000 a month in passive income. I also learned about the dropshipping business model, profit margins, e-commerce as a whole, and malicious businesses. Weeks later, after the lockdown subsided, I got a new 9-to-5 job. So naturally, I wanted to find a way out of it. It was around this time that crypto began taking off again, the great bull run of 2020. And since I saw what happened last time in 2017, I began to pursue my interest in the blockchain space and become a hotshot investor. Since I was an active and arguably irresponsible investor, I was deeply knit in the DeFi space, particularly if you're curious, the Binance Smart Chain. I got exposed to NFTs, which by proxy exposed me to 3D rendering and the very primitive form of AI art. Since I had some connections within this community, it wasn't long before I created a project of my own and started to build a small team. And this is the origin story of the Tyrant Empire. I established the Tyrant Empire initially as a digital production studio who specialized in creating NFTs for various projects. We were a 3-man team composed of a 3D artist, a community manager, and myself as the project founder. We had a good thing going for a few months. We released an NFT collection on our own, in addition to creating a number of collections for different projects and businesses. Not to mention, we dug our roots into the DeFi space by releasing our own token and regularly attending community AMAs to bring exposure to the project and gain investors. We gained traction and the money started rolling in. And I was certain that we were going to make it. I was wrong again. There were actually a couple things that went wrong. 1, I still lacked the fundamental marketing skills. 2, the nature of crypto relies on new investors, so when the bear market hit, we were in a slump. 3, I lacked the necessary leadership skills, so I ultimately failed to guide my team and steer the project in a definite direction. It was essentially a free-for-all. So with the lack of exposure to the project, the constant decline of the market, and the lack of client work, in addition to the project having no clear objective, the Tyrant Empire imploded. My team and the majority of the community members left. Yet again, I was back at the drawing board. I then went to do dropshipping again. I was seeing success stories left and right. A part of me was actually pissed off because I got my first taste of the dropshipping business model years before some of these people sharing their success stories even started their own business. Had I stuck with the business, which was Knife Galaxy, maybe I would be the one sharing my success story. Though I doubt it because of the route I went, which was having that shady fucking business help me, when in reality they only had their own interests and benefits in mind. So my second attempt at the dropshipping business model was much more successful. I actually made some money from it. This dropshipping store that I made was on Shopify, selling fitness products that I sourced from AliExpress. This business exposed me to a number of things: setting up a Facebook and TikTok tracking pixel, and then creating and running paid advertisements using said pixel, integrating a store onto a website, and testing out various products to find one that sells, which was essentially market research. But there was one thing that happened with this business that really caught my attention. But looking back, it was actually really unethical of me to go this route. But there was a content creator who was selling a very similar product that I was also selling on my store. And this content creator made really engaging content showcasing this product. So I saw an opportunity. I repurposed his content and used it to promote the same product that I was selling, saving me money on having to outsource for creatives. Yes, I know, very scumbaggish of me. The thing was that Facebook invited me to their Ads on Reels program after a few of these videos took off. So not only was I advertising a product and funneling people to my store, but now I was making money from the ads on the Reels showcasing the product. I was exposed to the beauty of ad revenue. Now, I just want to tell you again that this is extremely unethical. The creator eventually reached out to me directly and voiced his concerns, which I completely understood. I explained to him the reasoning for me doing it and brought up the fact that I was not selling on Amazon like he was, so I wasn't a direct competitor. I also let him know that his price was much better than mine, and if anyone did research on other stores selling this product and found his store, he was most likely guaranteed a sale. Long story short, I still felt like a douche using someone else's content for my own gain, so I stopped doing it. I went a different route with content and made 0 sales. The ad revenue from the repurposed content was making a lot more money on a monthly basis than even my best month in product sales. So I switched gears again. I wanted to be a content creator. Now, this is something that I dreamt about when I was a child or even a young man. Being a YouTuber/streamer, getting paid to play video games and entertain people. But the thing was, I didn't really want to be an entertainer. I genuinely wanted to help people. I wanted to improve people's lives. I wanted to be that guiding light that I've sought through the years as I failed over and over and over again. Because even though I have failed so many times, especially online when I showcased and announced my new business venture, I have an extreme sense of accomplishment and purpose. And this is something I want to give to other people. I enjoy the game of business and failure. I wanted to help people reach this level of mental fortitude, this level of clarity and confidence, this sense of purpose. So I began my journey as a creator. I spent the next 18 or so months researching every single day about personal branding, sales, confidence, mindset, funnels, speaking, writing, video editing, and more. I indulged in books, podcasts, videos, articles, speeches, you name it. I was obsessed. If you saw my last video, the business everyone can and should get into, this is where the beginning of that video kind of picks up. I rebranded the Tyrant Empire and began putting myself out there as a creator to break through my insecurities and double down on this next journey. About a year into my obsessive research on the ins and outs of content creation, I was positioned to advance myself into the next level. I had the opportunity to work as a YouTube manager for a digital media agency. I took the opportunity. I was overqualified for the position, even though my YouTube channel was basically non-existent. I think I had around 160 subscribers when I got hired, but I spent so much time learning about the industry that I absolutely dominated my job interview. I was one of the 2 people that got hired out of the 50 plus people that were interviewed. And being able to work with some of the top creators in various industries really opened my eyes to how these channels became so successful. I saw their systems, their business models, their thought processes, and more. I was able to see the big picture and fill in the blanks for what was missing with my channel. Not only that, but since I had such a broad view of the entire ecosystem of content creation, personal branding, and online business as a whole, I've been able to help these creators reach even greater heights with my insight. I have literally helped millionaires with their businesses. It was within these last few months that I have made one of the biggest discoveries of my life, my purpose. My purpose is to help people become tyrants, those who aim to conquer their lives, to take control, to do whatever it is that they want, what God or the universe has created you for, to open people's eyes to the fact that life is all about exploration, exploring things that interest you and creating a business around that, to show people how to make a living by living. Now, there are a lot of entrepreneurs and gurus online who preach the fact that you cannot become successful unless you focus on one thing, that this shiny object syndrome is the downfall of any entrepreneur. As the famous quote from Bruce Lee goes, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." That you should stick to a niche, stay in your lane, start a business, and stick to it. They say that every time you start over, you are starting from zero. I disagree. Though I believe that there is a lot of truth to these claims, it is not a one-size-fits-all scenario. My story that I have just told you shows you how I was able to carry my experience from one endeavor to the next, learning new skills with each trial, ultimately leading me to find my purpose in life. A lot of these gurus and entrepreneurs have extremely profitable businesses, but many of them don't even look happy. They don't look like someone who has found their purpose. They don't look complete. They're not someone I would want to be. They have no passion. Is their purpose in life really to sell plastic garbage from China? Does that bring fulfillment? I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. They dedicate all this time to create something that they don't really care about. Yeah, sure, it makes money, but that isn't what life is about, at least not in my opinion. And again, these are not one-size-fits-all situations. If I had stuck with creating music for another 8 years, sure, I may be an established producer who makes tons of money, but I would be nowhere near where I am mentally and spiritually had I not explored my interests. Interests change. The world changes. People change. How many people do you know or have heard of go to get a degree right out of high school, spend 4 to 8+ years on this degree, graduate or even drop out, and then have no interest in doing that anymore? I mean, on the contrary, there are people who know exactly what they want, and that never changes for them. and I respect that, though it is very, very rare. Around 75% of people in the world don't know what to do with their lives. They go through life having no particular direction. They go with the flow. Society and their environment dictate their lives. It baffles me that people go through life without exploring it, without exploring themselves. We live in such a unique time where people are literally making fortunes by exploring their interests. There's absolutely no reason to not take advantage of it. There's absolutely no reason to not conquer your life. So now let's dive into exactly how you can start. The Tyrant's Quest to Clarity gave you an overview of the game. It introduced your character, the enemy, and the system to crafting items to do battle with. It is my job, my passion, and my purpose to give you the most effective strategy to play this game, because you and I are in this game together. We are on the same team. So, my fellow Tyrant, the most effective strategy to play this game is to create a personal brand. I spoke on this in my previous video, but here we are going to dive a bit deeper. Let's look at a typical brand. A brand is essentially what people initially think of when the business comes to mind. There are many dimensions that make up a brand: colors, vibe, slogan, shape, smell, sound, etc. McDonald's, which is absolutely disgusting in my opinion, is a great example of a ridiculously strong brand. Immediately, I think of the colors red and yellow, the golden arches, the smell of French fries, and that stupid clown that they use as a mascot. Now, a personal brand is basically the same concept, but multi-dimensional, because a personal brand is built around a person, and you are multi-dimensional. You have more than just one interest. You have experiences and stories, you have opinions, you have talents, and you have hobbies. Not only that, but you are also learning and evolving every single day, even if you don't realize it. Personal brands are the future of business as we know it. With AI becoming more and more prevalent in business, people are now able to create faceless businesses/brands much easier. How many videos have you seen that use stock footage and or AI generated content for visuals while an AI generated voice narrates a story? More and more people are going this route because it is easier and safer than exposing yourself to the void that is the internet. People can't criticize what they can't see. But this is exactly why you should put yourself out there. Create a brand around yourself. Humans crave human connection. That is something that is in our genetic code, something that cannot be replaced. With more and more faceless brands popping up everywhere, this makes personal brands more scarce, increasing their value, because value is directly correlated to scarcity. Creating a personal brand is a lifelong endeavor. It is playing the infinite game of giving value. And since the brand revolves around you, it evolves as you evolve. As you improve yourself, you improve your brand. In order to create a successful personal brand, you must give value to other people. Again, that can only be done by first improving yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Value can be many things. It can be knowledge, feedback, advice, stories, entertainment. It can be products, systems, ideas, inspiration, and even motivation. The only way to continuously give value to others is by consistently gaining knowledge through various forms of information, by learning and improving yourself. Consuming information in the form of books, podcasts, videos, tutorials, and courses is not learning. Consuming information is only a piece of the learning process. Learning for me is a 4-part system. You have consuming information, applying the information, refining the information, and then teaching the information. After you consume the information, you need to apply it. You need to take it out of the dimension of your mind and put it into the dimension of reality. Depending on the information, there are various ways of applying this information. For example, let's say you read about increasing your testosterone in a natural way. The book you're reading claims that pistachios increase the natural testosterone in your body because of the fact that it contains one of the major building blocks of testosterone, which is fat. You have now consumed this information. Now you can apply it by eating pistachios and experiencing it firsthand, drawing your own conclusions from this information. The third step to this method is refining the information, analyzing the conclusions from applying the information that you have gathered. Did the pistachios give you more testosterone? Maybe you didn't notice an impact on your testosterone from the pistachios, or maybe you did after eating 2 cups of them, or maybe you only noticed the effects after going to the gym. This is kind of a strange example, but it's the first thing that came to mind, so you get the idea. If you only notice a benefit from the pistachios after eating 2 cups of them, then you have refined the knowledge that you have consumed. You now have a personal first-hand experience with this topic. You can even dive deeper into the rabbit hole and figure out why it took 2 cups of pistachios. Understand the science behind it. The possibilities go on and on. The more you learn, the more doors you open for learning. And that is why it is important to pursue things that you are curious about. The learning never ends. This quote from Aristotle puts it brilliantly. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. The final aspect of this CART method is teaching. John C. Maxwell said brilliantly, you never really know something until you can teach it to someone else. Teaching is a big part of the learning process. It ensures that the information is available to you on the fly without needing to jog your memory. It's especially effective when you have to explain it to someone unexpected, such as a child or elderly person. It's like Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. The ability to break down knowledge within your mind and restructure it to be easily digested by someone else, a child, ensures that your knowledge on the subject is robust. And aside from the personal benefits of teaching, you do your part in the progression of humanity by expanding the minds of your fellow humans. The knowledge you share could change the very course of one's life. There is a lot of power in teaching. Now, our pistachio and testosterone example is a bit trivial, as it is unlikely to significantly change one's life, as far as I would imagine, but hopefully you can see how this can create unlimited potential when combined with your unique personal brand in addition to the power of the internet. You will create an endless cycle of exploring yourself and your interests, gaining knowledge, and sharing it with the world. And this, my friends, is only the tip of the iceberg. Now, we have covered a lot here. I could keep going, but I do need to wrap this up. If you don't know what you want in life, I urge you to do the Tyrant's Quest for Clarity if you haven't. If you are lazy and don't want to do it yet, then at least figure out where you want to go. You need a direction to start moving in. You need a destination, a goal. What do you want? Money, fame, knowledge, influence. Then when you figure that out, you need to figure out what your interests are. You can do that by knowing what you research. What does your search history look like? Hopefully it isn't disgusting. What kind of content do you regularly consume? Pick something that interests you and then become obsessed with it. Learn as much as you can. Start there, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to join the Tyrant Empire for free and be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all on quests to conquer their lives, but only if you are serious. If you made it to the end of this, I salute you, and I look forward to our next encounter. Until then, Tyrant, keep conquering. Ooh, that was a long one.